This TFMR podcast is brought to you by your friends at JM Bullion. Visit jmbullion.com for all your gold and silver bullion needs. Hello again from TF Metals Report, and welcome back to your podcast highlights program, a free service we put out every Friday. Give you some idea of what we're talking about at TF Metals Report. A podcast summary is just one of several items you get on a daily basis at TF Metals Report as a subscriber, and it's only $15 a month. So 50 cents a day gets you a post in the morning, podcast in the afternoon, and a whole bunch of information in between. In Monday's podcast on April 24th, we discussed a number of charts as we looked at the week ahead. One, of course, that has special significance is the U.S. dollar index. A lot of times as the dollar rises intraday, gold falls and vice versa. So we got to keep a close eye on it. So here's that chart of the U.S. dollar index from Monday, April 24th. Dollar index on the daily chart. Look at this. Look at the last 6 days of gold and how it's been consistently washed out. Look at the last 6 days of the dollar index. Okay? When it closed on Friday the 14th, north of 102. Okay? It's fallen now a full point over the last 6 days. And what has happened to gold? Again, just look up. Won't go on forever, but boy, if you were a dollar bull and all excited about these two reversals and double bottom at 101, right now, I'd be a little nervous that you're going to break down through those lows and get some sell stops. We'll see. If you listen to these podcast summaries every week, then you'll recall 2 weeks ago when on Friday, April the 14th, we caught the clear sentiment and trend reversal, at least in the short term, in COMEX Gold. We had an outside reversal day candle on the daily chart. We made note of that and figured, the next couple of weeks may be a little challenging for us as we pull back and consolidate. That's exactly what has happened. We're getting close to the end, though. So on Tuesday, April 25th, we took a good long look at the daily chart of gold, and here's part of what we discussed. Here's daily gold of the June contract, moving through that little trend line that we talked about yesterday. Clear resistance up near 2020. It's got to get above there on a closing basis. Okay? Before we can feel like, okay, this idea of mini February is behind us. But you can clearly see, what's that, 4 candles out of 5 where the intraday dip has fallen below 1990 to between 1980 and 1990 and then immediately bounced. That's tells you there's a lot of strength underpinning. I mean, the fundamental rationale is why people are buying that dip. Of course, we're always watching silver as well at TF Metals Report. And the daily chart of silver looks a lot like gold. A reversal candle back on Friday the 14th. Consolidation and flagging period ever since. There's a pretty clear downtrend line that we're going to watch, though, as we wrap up this week and move into next. That chart was one that we discussed Wednesday the 26th. Again, you can see the same thing in silver. Still, look at these red candles following this downtrend down after the reversal back on the 14th. Solid support at 25 so far. But if I get a chance to buy some silver calls at 24.50 or God forbid even 24, that would just be fantastic. It would happen quick, I would think, given all that's pending for next week. It may be tomorrow morning. It may be Friday morning. But sometime between now and, like I said, the London PM fix, which is 10 o'clock Eastern on Friday, we're probably going to get another dip. So we'll wait for that, and we'll see what happens next. The Fed's policy of rapidly hiking rates in 2022 is now starting to wreak all sorts of havoc across the U.S. economy, and there are bank failures. There may be one this coming weekend with First Republic Bank. It's not only their bond portfolios that are giving them trouble, it's their commercial real estate portfolio. Commercial real estate, a major looming issue for the U.S. banks and the U.S. economy. One measure of that is an old REIT that trades on the New York Stock Exchange. It's been around about as long as I've been in the securities industry. I began back in 1990, and this REIT, Vornado, came into existence in about 1995. It's traded as high as $100 a share a couple of times, but now it's down to 15. And the news back on Thursday was that they were delaying their dividend. Boy, nothing shows a sign of stress like a delayed dividend. So that Vornado and commercial real estate. Big part of what we watch at TF Metals Report, and just a small part of what we discussed on Thursday the 27th. And then just this, again, all of a sudden, we don't have to worry about the banks anymore. No, you still do. And commercial real estate still a big problem too. You may recall, you listen to these podcasts every day, we talked about Vornado. Last month, that REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust, commercial real estate investment trust, has been around for almost 30 years. One time trade as high as 100. Now it's down under 20 today, delaying their dividend. Think they're having some cash flow problems? Yeah. And again, here's a reminder of that stock. Just going back, there's a weekly chart going back to just last year when it was 45 and now it's 15. Commercial real estate on top of the balance sheet issues, marking to market, marking to maturity, all that stuff. Still a lingering problem. The official report from the Fed, by the way, tomorrow on what happened at Silicon Valley Bank. That's supposed to come out tomorrow too. That'll be hilarious. Let me tell you how that's going to turn out. The Fed's going to decide it wasn't their fault. There. Okay, now you don't have to worry about searching for the headline. And Friday, April 28th was, of course, the last trading day of the month. Clear, obvious effort to keep gold from closing with a 2 handle for the first time ever. Capped hard at $19.99 in the COMEX close and capped hard at $19.99 in the Globex close. Whatever. It's still an all-time monthly closing high. We're up $30 on the month. In gold, that's pretty good. Silver, highest monthly close since June of 2021. That's not too shabby either, up 4.5% for the month. I don't have a monthly chart of either of those as we wrap up this podcast highlight show. Instead, a monthly chart of the GDX, and here you have the mother of all pennants, if you want to call it that. Can you even believe how clear these points line up to form this pennant? We have a clear breakout line to watch. There's no doubt about that. Again, this goes all the way back to 2011. So we'll watch this as we go through the summer and into the fall to wait to see how long it will take for the GDX to break out. I don't think it'll be next week, though. Next week's going to be a very important and volatile week. We've got the manufacturing and service sector PMIs early in the week. We got the FOMC meeting that concludes on Wednesday with Powell's press conference. And then next Friday brings the next BLS-BS, the jobs report in the U.S. It's going to be a real busy week. Maybe we can close above $2,000 next week. We'll see. Anyway, thank you for listening. Have a great weekend and come back next week for your next edition of the TF Metals Report podcast highlights.